Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second meeting for the Committee on Regulation to consider a recommendation for the project on federal agency collaboration with state, local, tribal, and territorial governments. My name is Bakaja Caldwell, and I am serving as staff counsel for this project. I am joined today by our consultants for the project, Professors Jennifer Saline and Pamela McCann. We are also joined by our committee chair, Helen Serafio. So before I call the roll, I just want to let the committee know that due to other commitments, our project consultants will have to step out of the meeting early. ACUS staff will step in and do our best to address any questions that may arise. So with that, I'll go ahead and start calling the roll. So I will call two rolls. The first roll will be the names of committee members and the alternates of committee members. After each name is called, the person should stay here so we can make sure that their mics are working. So Helen?
Here.
Reeve Bull. Peacock. Carolyn.
Here.
Oh, perfect. Devin Frey, designated alternate for Daniel Cohen.
Here.
And Reeve, I see you just joined.
Hi, good afternoon.
Afternoon. Amy Grace Tardy. Alice Kottmeyer.
Here.
Jonathan Rose. I think here yet. Peter Strauss.
Here.
Okay, see you, Peter. That's all. Sid Shapiro not on yet? Okay, all right. So is there any committee member present whose name I did not call?
Yeah, I thought I was on the committee, but perhaps I'm not.
Did I drop you, Erica? I don't have you on the committee list.
Well, okay. I was on last year.
I have you as a non-committee member, but
That's fine. It's fine. I think I'll stay and listen though.
yeah, please do. I'll have Jeremy just double check that, but
I got the email invite, so that is why I'm puzzled, but it's okay.
Oh, so we also keep people who are interested in attending the meetings who might not also be on the committee. Yeah.
No worries.
Okay. Is there any, okay. Okay, so the second roll I'll call will be the names of ACUS members who are not on the committee and their alternates. After each name is called, the person should stay here so we can make sure their mics are working. I will not call the names of members of the public who do not have speaking privileges, meaning you should write in the chat if you would like to speak. So with that, Erica, listen. So your mic is working.
Right, I'm here, obviously.
Yep. Alex Goodenough.
Here.
And Steph Tatum.
Here, thanks.
Okay, is there any ACUS member present whose name I did not call? Seeing none, please reach out via the chat function or via email if you experience any technical difficulties during the meeting. ACUS staff will be happy to assist you with troubleshooting or moving to alternate means of participating. So with that, I will hand it over to Helen to lay the ground rules.
Thank you, Bakaja. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see you. I'll go quickly over the ground rules. Please note that only ACUS members, whether or not on the committee, and their designated alternatives have full speaking privileges, meaning a non-ACUS member should write in the chat if you would like to speak. To avoid background noise, I'd ask that you keep your microphone on mute and either use Zoom's hand raise feature or add a comment in the chat feature if you'd like to speak. I'll then call on you and you can unmute yourself. Please then remute yourself when you're done. I'd also ask that ACUS members and their designated alternates use the webcam. With respect to attendees other than ACUS members and alternates, participation requires the unanimous consent of the committee members. Time permitting, I'll consider calling on such attendees at appropriate points, and we will presume that committee members consent absent their raising an objection. If any such participant would like to speak, please so indicate in the chat feature or by using Zoom hand raise feature and wait to speak until I can call on you. You can then unmute yourself and please remute yourself when you are done speaking. For all participants, please use the chat function only to indicate that you'd like to speak or for the committee members and the alternates to vote when asked. Please do not hold any sidebar conversations or put substantive comments in the chat feature. Only members of the regulation committee have a vote. Please do not vote unless you're a member of the committee, and we have a list of committee members in case you're unsure. And that's everything for the ground rules. I think we can go then towards the discussion of the recommendation.
Everyone see that okay?
Yes. All right, we thought it would make sense if we started with the language in the recommendation where the committee had made edits from the feedback we had on our last meeting. So we'll start, unless anyone objects to that. I don't see any subject. All right, then let's go to the second recommendation, the new sentence. This one's federal agencies should develop or maintain general guidelines to assist personnel in initiating, managing, and evaluating collaborations. The new sentence is, among other things, the guidelines should provide information about collaborating with different types of STLTGs and highlight their differences and commonalities. Does any, Peter?
So this is just a place where I can make a general point, which is I may have missed it, but I didn't see anything in the recommendation about invitations or about efforts at invitation or general publicity of the need to participate, of the possibility of participating. And I should think that the guidelines to assist personnel should, among other things, not just provide information about collaboration, but should provide guidelines for soliciting in participation from interested publics.
Okay, so are you recommending?
Oh, no. Sorry, I just missed the word. I take it back. There's the word initiating.
Okay, great. Thank you, Peter. Any other comments or thoughts on the new sentence in number 2? Seeing no hands, we can then go down to number 4, bullet 4. All right, so here we have 2 different versions we could use. So we're going to need everyone weigh in if there's a preference here. The first one would be federal officials should designate an official, yes, in appropriate offices who will be primarily responsible for coordinating and evaluating collaborations with STLTGs with an awareness of the types of programs, relationships, and governmental entities. Or we could use, for each program, federal agencies should designate an officials in an appropriate office who will be primarily responsible for coordinating and evaluating collaboration with STLTGs with an awareness of the different types of STLTGs and their differences and commonalities. Anyone have thoughts on preferences, Peter?
Well, here the word initiating isn't there, and it seems to me that it should be. That is, you want someone, if we're going to have a central person who's responsible, that central person ought to know that it's part of their job to get participation in any way that they might.
All right. Anyone have any thoughts or objections for including initiating? No, I don't see any. Thank you, Peter. Anyone have any preference for either the first or the second option here? Reeve.
Perfect. So as between I don't feel super strong, but I think as between the two, I kind of like the second one better, A, because it matches the language of item 2, and then If we went with the first one, I guess the last words in it I find slightly confusing. Types of programs, relationships, and governmental entities. I'm not really sure what we mean by governmental entities. Do you mean like part of the agency that coordinates with the SL TTG, or what exactly? In any event, I think the second formulation avoids the need for that. So that'd be
All
my
right.
word.
Thank you. Jennifer, I saw your hand go up, so you might have a thought.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think based off of our discussions with various agencies, I think number 2 seems to fit more with the thing with our general sentiments in the report and how agencies have been successful in managing these partnerships. But that's just something just I would lean towards number 2 for that reason.
Thank you. Erica?
I think I'm just chiming in to say the second as well, but I also think the first doesn't quite, the ending of it doesn't, to me, actually scan real well. Maybe it would have to just say with an awareness of the different types or something. It just, to me, just the phrasing is a little awkward there. And I think the second works better in any case.
Great. Thank you. Caroline?
Adding to the chorus that I like the second one, but I wanted to note that nothing prevents under the language of the second for the agency from designating the same individual for multiple programs if there is enough similarity between them, I think.
Yeah, it's a good point. Thank you. Peter?
So if you need a motion, I move adoption of the second sentence.
Thank you. Does anyone object to adopting the second sentence? I see no objections. We will use the second sentence. Thank you, everyone. All right, we're going down to, excuse me, initiating specific collaborations with STLTGs and responding to major changes. The new language that was added in here. Unless anyone objects to our style edit. If not, we can move to 9. Oh, Jennifer.
So I recall this conversation from the first committee meeting, and I completely agree with responding to major changes, but I was wondering, do we define what major changes are at any point? Like should we add some sort of footnote or something in the preamble just so that we're clear? Because I was a little uncertain as to what would constitute a major change or just like a regular old change. And does it matter? I don't know. Just being super nitpicky.
No, that makes sense. And I think Bakaja scrolled up to some of the preamble text.
Yeah, so we do have a sentence in there talking about changes, but also major changes. To your point, though, I think it could go either way. Just saying changes in the title further down in the recommendation. I don't think we feel strongly either way, but we do have a sentence in there in the preamble.
Sorry, where's the major changes sentence? Oh, but that says changes, not major changes.
Yeah, so that's why I was saying we have changes, but then we say following other major changes. But to your point, it's not, we can remove major in the title for the recommendation language, since we don't necessarily what specific major changes are other than the sentence. So,
Bakaja, could you maybe go the other way and then just add the word major changes here in the preamble so that it's, is that sort of what you're getting at here as you're sort of laying out what a major change effectively is with this language? Yeah, I think that's, yeah, that way it's consistent.
Is that better? Okay.
Thanks, Reed.
All right, do you want me to go back to the recommendation language?
Yeah, I think we can go back. Thank you. All right, so the first edits are in recommendation 9, so including early in the implementation of federal programs and following major changes. And then we use such as changes in personnel or political leadership or changes in relevant law. Federal agencies should determine whether, when, and how to collaborate with relevant STLTGs. Any issues, thoughts, or comments on the changes in 9 before we go down to the ones below? All right, not seeing any hands. We can go to C, where we've added new language. In reaching the determinations these agencies should engage with, so these are the different entities agencies should engage with. We've included advisory committees and similar entities that include STLTG representatives. I did have a question for Bakaja and the committee. Is the intent here for any committee that happens to have STLTG representatives, or the makeup is STLTG representatives? Because that could be two different groups of, like, you might have a FACA committee that has like 1 or 2 like tribal or state or local on it, but then everyone else might be like, other public, private entities, or are you looking for advisory committees that are just with STLTG representatives?
I think when we added it, we intended it to be both. I think, and Jen and Pam, correct me if I'm wrong,
Okay.
harkening back to the report that there are things like FACAs, but also things like tribal advisory councils, for example, that are just made up of tribal leaders that would advise agencies. So I think it's intended to be both. To your point, though, do you think it needs to be teased out to 2 separate ones?
Well, I just didn't know if you want ones that have like private entities in them too. Like, what if you have a group that's a mixture of STLTG representatives and private entities or other public entities that aren't STLTG representatives? Do we want that captured in this recommendation?
I might defer to Jen and Pam to see, I would think maybe not the private entities, but I will sort of refer back to them.
I would say that if a tribal, local, territorial representative is included in a group, that was a decision that was made to provide representation of those entities. And so I actually would go the other way and say, yeah, they should be included. Even like if an advisory group has lots of different representatives from different interests or different, it seems like the conscious decision to include say a tribal representative in a larger group is a conscious decision that should be recognized.
Peter?
Maybe I misunderstand this, but what it seems to be saying is that in determining whether, when, and how to collaborate with relevant STLTGs, the agency is responsible for collaborating with actually a much wider group of people. And what I don't see here or anywhere in the recommendation, and I don't have language to deal with this, I just want to make the point, anywhere in the recommendations, an idea that agencies should develop a list, as it were, of those STLTGs that are most relevant to their work. And that those are the ones that they ought to be going to. It's inviting attention to the universe, which is what we seem to be doing again and again, is a way of getting ignored. Oh, this is too much. I'm not going to bother with it.
All right, thank you, Peter. That's helpful. We'll see where we might be able to integrate that thought in here. I guess my thought was if we're saying there's one way to be able to engage with STLTGs is by looking at advisory committees that are comprised of STLTGs, if we include all advisory committees where maybe 90% aren't STLTGs, but there might be 1 or 2 representatives on it, and then the bulk of it is like non-STLTGs, are we affecting what we're trying to do here? Or are we, like, to Peter's point, opening the door so wide that we're no longer, achieving what we're trying to do? Versus there are some STLGDs that are like 90 or 100%. I mean, FACAs that are 90 or 100% STLTG, which would make sense, like we'd be wanting to coordinate with them. So I just want to make sure we're capturing what our intent is here.
I think the general proposition, and maybe this could be put into 9, is that agencies should develop an understanding of the STLTGs that are most relevant to their work. And earlier, no, I'm actually putting it before early in the implementation. As a general proposition, right? That agencies should develop a listing of those STLTGs which are most relevant to their work.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. And Alice, I saw your hand go up, so I think you might have thoughts about what we're discussing.
Yeah. I guess I'm looking at this at the list in 9. It said agencies should engage with, A, B, C, D, and E, and who's left off that list? It looks like everybody in the world. Um, I, I mean, I'm thinking of some other kind of modifying language, and don't put this down yet because I'm thinking out loud. Agencies should engage with all relevant people or entities, including, and this gives A, B, C, D, and E kind of give us ideas as to who to talk to. But just leaving it like that, it's like, first of all, is there a hierarchy here? I mean, do the government personnel first and then the STLTGs? I mean, this list just seems weird to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
No, this is helpful. Jen, see your hand went up too.
Jen, you're on
Oh,
mute.
you're mute.
Okay, there we go. That's better. I was just gonna say, I think keeping in mind all the different types, particularly the territories, I think it's going to be unlikely that with the advisory committee stuff, that there's an entire advisory committee that is just made up of territorial interests, for example. And I think one of the things that we really got from our discussions, both with the tribes and territories, was that just having a seat at the table, even if it's one seat among 10, is helpful in terms of being able to advocate for their interests and views and make the collaboration a little bit more successful. So that would be why I would think that, yeah, okay, maybe 90% of an entity is not made up of SLTGs, or however we're going to say it, but that one is actually quite important.
Okay, this is helpful. Alice?
The other issue I see with advisory committees, which is one of my portfolios here, is that they really are limited to what their charter requires and what their DFOs tell them to get involved with. So, I'm assuming we're talking about agencies engaging with their own advisory committees. In other words, not advisory committees in another agency that have STLTG members on them. So I'm assuming that. But even if even if it's their own advisory committees, they are limited by what their charter requires them to do, and they can only provide advice. They can only provide advice based on what the DFO instructs them to engage in. So this this might not work.
So are you proposing we strike out advisory committees?
I would strike out advisory committees because that's not their job. I mean, you can engage with the members that are on the advisory committee separately, but not the advisory committees.
Jeremy?
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the point is that advisory committees are often convened to advise agencies on intergovernmental affairs, or at least those certainly exist. I mean, at a certain point, we're not drafting a statute here. Would it be enough to just put relevant before advisory committees, which would
that would be
allow the
fine
agency
too.
to
Yeah,
decide what's within their remit,
that's
which
fine too.
advisory committees are relevant, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeremy. All right, thank you for the good thoughts, everyone. Any other comments or proposed edits? If not, we can go down to recommendation 10. All right, so this was the new proposed edit in light of committee suggestion to clarify there may be other times that the listed topics may need to be discussed. So the new language says when establishing in collaboration with an STLTG or revisiting a collaboration in light of a major change, federal agencies should discuss the following topics. Anyone have any comments or revisions to the new language? I'm not seeing any hands, so I guess we can keep it. Thank you. This was a proposed edit from the Committee on Style on number 12, where we will add as needed in the language. So it will now read, federal agencies should ensure that personnel involved in a collaboration with an STLTG receive training as needed on topics including. Anyone have any objections to the added language? If not, I think we can go down. Is it to 14? 13 stuff. Renumbering. Yeah. All right. Great. Thank you, Bakaja. On 14, it says the proposed language is added in response to committee suggestion on previous recommendations 15 and 16 to capture the idea that agencies should be maintaining the information they collect in repositories and expound on what type of information they should collect. All right, so this is our new language. Federal agencies should develop and maintain internal repositories of records and information related to specific collaborations with STLTGs to facilitate coordination among agency personnel and ensure continuity of operations. Such repositories may include information such as any written agreements between the federal agency and STLTGs, see paragraph 10, federal agency official substantive communication as part of collaborations, the guidelines to assist personnel involved in specific collaborations, see paragraph 11, and the points of contact for the STLTG. Peter.
Just as a matter of style, shouldn't it open with to facilitate coordination among agency personnel and ensure continuity of operations, comma, federal agencies should develop?
Oh, at the beginning.
Yeah, just right. Just move the part of the sentence that starts to facilitate and runs to the end, make that the beginning of the sentence. And then you can take it out at the end of the sentence. The sentence should end with STLTGS, period.
All right. Oh, thank you. Any other thoughts on the edits, everyone? Thank you, Peter. Alice.
No, I'm just curious as to what is the difference between creating these repositories and just the normal, file saving processes that every agency will come up with to, you know what I mean? I mean, what is the significance of repository? I don't understand what we're doing with 14. Beyond what agencies normally do with their stuff. I mean, I have a whole set of files on any particular topic that I'm involved in. I mean, is this repository going to be made public? I mean, is it I assume not, because it doesn't say that, but
yeah. No, I'm looking towards Bakaja, if you remember better than I do. What the thinking was.
It doesn't relate to publishing because that's a later recommendation. I think this one was based on some of the research which found that not all agencies do that. And then when you have sort of a change in administration or change in even just personnel at either the federal agency level or the STLTG level. Those things like communications, how you've been interacting, are lost across. But I'll sort of defer to Jen and Pam to see if they also agree with us. That was our understanding.
Yes, so we've found that many agencies do not internally share. So the one person may have a series of records related to what they're doing, but it's not necessarily provided to other people in the agency who are working with the same SLTTG or on the same program. So there might be
Okay, yeah.
internal documents that relate to a particular program, but not necessarily relate to the interactions with the SLTTGs.
Yeah, okay. So this just be something like SharePoint or Teams or something that everybody can access who's dealing with this.
And a
That
specific folder.
that kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Peter.
I'm wondering whether the word particular is missing before STLTGs, because otherwise it looks like we're talking about the universal filing systems rather than a system for keeping information relating to specific collaborations with particular STLTGs. So then the Natural Resources Defense Council, if that counts as one, is in one set of files. And the Chamber of Commerce is in another set of files.
That makes sense. Thank you, Peter. From the conversation we just had, I was wondering if the word that we're really looking is like centralized repositories. But correct
Or
me
just
if I'm
take out
wrong. Yeah.
or just take out internal. I mean, just repositories.
Yeah. A helpful conversation. Anyone else have any other proposed edits or comments? Not seeing any hands. I think we can go to 15, Vikaja. All right. Oh, thank you. Here we added in on 15, this is about federal agencies providing opportunities on an ongoing periodic basis for the following persons and entities to provide feedback on the collaborations with STLTGs, and added to make it consistent with the one about relevant advisory committees that include STLTG representatives. Anyone have any issues with that? I don't see any. Oh, Jennifer?
I just realized in 9 we say advisory committees and similar entities, and then in the rest of the language we just say advisory committees. So I don't have a strong, I don't know which you guys prefer, but for consistency's sake.
Yeah. That is a good catch. Do we want to use the same language below in Vikaja so we're consistent?
Yeah, I think we should.
Alice?
How are we collecting information? I just want to make sure we're not straying into PRA.
I think it's up to each agency to determine how they're collecting it.
I mean, you
Any
can leave it
thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can leave it like this and
Mhm.
they, you know, if an agency has to get PRA approval from OIRA, then they have to go do that. But I just wanted to put that marker down.
That is a good catch. Thank you. Anyone else, any other thoughts on 15? If not, we can go to 16. All right, for 16.
Weren't we just doing 16?
We were on 15.
Oh,
Yep.
oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
No worries. 16, they added in a new language in response to a committee suggestion to capture the idea of the purpose for collecting data on collaborations. So the new language says federal agencies should collect information about their collaborations with STLTGs to evaluate performance in achieving the objective for their collaborations, implement improvements, and engage in strategic planning. Such information should include how collaborations develop over time and progress in achieving the performance metrics for collaboration. Anyone have any thoughts or comments or edits? We'll give it one more second. I don't see any hands. Well, not seeing any objections. I think we can accept it and go to 17. Which 17 was just renumbering, so I don't think there's actually an edit for us in 17, but 18. This is a committee on style edit. In 18A, adding collaborations with STLTGs, including their experience collaborating with STLTGs. So then 18 would be federal agencies should provide up-to-date information on their websites describing collaborations with STLTGs, including their experience collaborating with STLTGs. Anyone have any comments or edits?
I worry a little bit about including their experiences collaborating with STLTGs, which maybe suggests, well, when we tried to discuss this with the Blackfeet, we really didn't get very far. That is, it seems to invite a criticism as well as approval, and I would just say collaboration ended at collaboration with STLTGs.
I agree with Peter. I don't, for the reasons he articulates, and I guess I'm not really sure sort of what the experience, what we would have in mind there in terms of experiences collaborating. I think it's easier just to make it out.
All right, thank you, Peter and Reeve. Anyone object to taking it out? I see no objections. We can take it out then. Thank you. And I think that was it for our recommendations.
Yes, that was everything for the recommendation. So I'll go up to the preamble now.
Excellent. Thank you. So the first one we have on the footnote is a added We added footnotes providing examples of collaborations because there was a suggestion to highlight the various ways in which federal agencies may collaborate with STLTGs. Vikaja, can you just wait for her to read the footnote? Make the text just
Sorry.
slightly larger? Thanks. Thank you. All right, so we have the examples include the Army Corps, DEA, Affordable Care Act, and Federal Highway and Bureau of Indian Affairs work. Anyone have any objections to adding these footnotes?
Well, it's strange to seem to say that the Federal Highway Administration works with tribal governments, and not with state governments or local governments or whatever. But maybe because this is to facilitate planning on tribal lands, okay. But the Federal Highway Administration works with many different governments. This is just as Drug Enforcement Administration cooperates with state, local, and federal agencies. The Federal Highway Administration works with federal, state, local, and tribal agencies to facilitate transportation planning.
That is true, and we could expand it for all of them to make it consistent with the other footnotes. Thank you, Peter. Jen?
I think one note on that would be that the citations specifically relate, the statutory citations specifically relate to tribal things, I
Well, there-
think.
Yeah,
There are a lot of statutes which are possible.
yeah, I see
But-
Bakaja's added to add the sites in there, so I think that the committee can
Okay,
go
sorry,
back and
I
add the
didn't-
sites to it.
Yeah, I was looking up the site. It's
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't watching the screen. Thank you.
Yep, no worries. Yep, that way we can use the time here not to have to find the sites, but we will work on that offline. Thank you. All right, I think we can go to the next set of edits. All right.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I thought you were doing like the vision exam.
Trying to make it bigger for you.
All right, at our next set of edits, this one was added in response to, oops, thank you, committee suggestion to provide in the preamble the contours of when it may be good to collaborate. And let's see what this new language says. So, at the outset of collaboration and throughout its duration. So it would say federal agencies have adopted a range of practices to overcome challenges, collaborate more effectively, and create enduring working relationships with STLTGs. For example, federal agencies have adopted practices to ensure they communicate with STLTGs at the outset of collaboration and through the duration of the work. Peter.
Relevant STLTGs.
All right, thank you. Anyone? Anyone else have any other edits or comments? No, I'll stick with relevant. Relevant was added that as a suggestion. Thank you. We can move on to the next one. This next edit was added in response to committee suggestion to provide in the preamble the contours of when it may be good to collaborate. So then we've added the sentence in that including turnover. Oh, it may, let's start at the beginning here. Oh, right. Adopt performance management techniques for collaborating, sustain relationships, and manage personnel changes, including turnover that results from major changes in political leadership. Ensure continuity following other major changes that affect federal programs. Is there something off with this language now?
Yeah.
Thank you. It wasn't just me.
I will let everyone else chime in first.
Yes. Caroline or Peter, did you have your hand up first? I'm sorry.
Oh, I
There's
should
a
have
legacy.
taken it down.
Okay. No worries.
I have a suggestion for line 47 where there isn't currently a.
Okay, when we get to 47 then, thank you. Caroline?
I just wanted to say that if we're using this preamble language as defining major changes, I wonder if we can break that out and say that a little bit more directly. Sustain relationships through major changes, including personnel changes, leadership changes, something along those
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah, I think that's the fix we're looking for. That's a good call there. And Jen, similar thought?
Yeah, no, totally agree. I was like, I still, I'm a little unclear as to what constitutes a major change.
Just to clarify, so sustain relationships. And Carolyn, could you just repeat a little bit more what you said again?
I think it goes a little bit to what we have in mind as major change including. So I had put everything under that umbrella, but we have to be intentional. This is the definition of major change that occurs throughout. Does it just, is personnel included in that? Right now, it's a little outside of it. But I was thinking major changes, ensure continuity throughout major changes, including personnel changes, administration changes, and other changes.
All right, let's look at how it starts on 34 now. Through major changes, including personnel changes, turnover results from changes in political leadership. And ensure continuity following, other changes that affect federal programs. Okay, now I feel like this is off if we're defining major changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Jen, is your hand up? Sorry, I was reading the language and I missed you. My apologies. Thank you.
I do wonder if it's worth including in the definition of major changes something related to like statutory or regulatory changes, things that affect the parameters of the program itself. That's something that came up consistently in our discussions with the agencies, and trying to swerve to adapt to new legal regimes. And I don't know how to say that, but it might be helpful to have something in there because that feels slightly different than like the personnel changes or something like that.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Any reactions or thoughts? Okay, we can add in some, thank you, Bakaja, for catching that. Adding some language in about changes in statutory or regulatory authority. All right. Any other thoughts before we go down to line 38? I think we're at line 38 now, right?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, line 38, we have new languages. It says federal agencies have also developed guidelines to assess personnel who work with STLTGs and have entered into, oh. There
Sorry,
we
my
go.
accepting changed the line.
Oh yeah, it just threw me off. That's okay. So we go back to line 38. Federal agencies have developed guidelines to assess personnel who work with STLTGs and entered into federal informal written agreements with STLTGs. When doing so helps establish shared terminology, definitions, and standard operating procedures, and promotes transparency and accountability in implementation. Anyone have any edits or thoughts? I don't see any comments or objections, so I think we can move on. Accept it and move on. Thanks, Vikasha.
And then I just wanted to show that we did add a footnote as well with that. So,
Oh, yes.
anyone have any comments?
Oh, yes. Thank you. The EPA policy for,
Yeah, the
yep,
guidelines.
yep, on programs for Indian reservations. Thank you. All right. Anyone have any thoughts or comments? If not, we can move on. Great. Then we added, we just had a slight editorial change. Instead of saying representative organizations, just organizations that represent STLTGs. Anyone have any comments or thoughts? If not, I think our last major edit was taking the last sentence out where it encouraged the executive office of the president to facilitate interagency exchange, and we have deleted that. Now, Peter, did you say you had yep, I didn't forget number, you had a proposed edit on 46?
Yeah, I mean, a general reaction that I have to this recommendation is that the bureaucrat encountering it will think that the world has been piled on her head. It seems extremely universal in many ways, and so I would say should use to identify and collaborate more effectively with relevant STLTGs. To make, we aren't saying everything you do has got to go out to the whole world of STLTGs.
No, that's a good catch, and it harmonizes it with the language we have below too in the recommendations. No, thank you. Anyone have any objections or comments? If not, thank you. We will accept the edits. Thank you, Peter. And then our last deletion, no objections. I think that's all of our edits, right, Kasia?
Anything we can take out of the office of the presidency, we should.
Yes, that is it for all the comments and the proposed edits. So, yeah, if there's any last comments.
No, then do we need to vote on something today or?
So we should vote on adopting the
Yeah,
whole
wait, I
one?
see Carolyn's hands up, sorry.
I apologize if I missed this, but were we going to think about changing the order of the acronym or how we refer to STL TJGs?
Moving it from state, tribe, local, and territorials to, because we had it before state, local,
Oh, so it
tribal.
had been
Yeah,
moved.
we
Okay,
did.
okay,
Yeah, we
okay,
did move
okay.
it. Yep.
Okay, sorry.
Nope.
I missed when we talked about
Oh no, absolutely. No, it's always good to bring us back to it. It's been a while since we met, so we all have a little grace today. All right. Peter, is your hand up?
I should like to move adoption of the recommendation.
Thank you. Is there anyone who objects to adopting the recommendation from the committee?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Alice. Any objections? Well, if not, we can have a unanimous vote. That's excellent. Thank you, everybody. And we did this so quickly today, too. I am very impressed. Which means we do not need to meet on the 22nd. We thank you all for all your excellent thoughts and input on the recommendation.
Yes, thank you all so much for all your work, and to Jen and Pam as well for an excellent report.
Excellent.
And Helen, of course, for our fearless leader.
Well, thank you, everyone. Have a good holidays, and we'll see you at the plenary.
Thank you.
Thank you.